Incredible talent show surprise, girl's touching song for mom reveals hidden millionaire father. Mia stood backstage, her heart racing, the dull roar of the gymnasium crowd a distant, echoing heartbeat. She fidgeted with the edges of her worn-out guitar, feeling the weight of expectations pressing down on her. This wasn't just another school talent show. For Mia, it was a chance to express gratitude to the one person who made every sacrifice so she could live, breathe, and sing. Her mother, Lisa. Their little apartment, adorned with photographs of laughter and love, hadn't come easy, especially when Lisa worked 2 jobs to keep a roof over their heads. Each strum of her guitar echoed the long hours, the late-night dinners, the missed sleep. But Mia's admiration for her mother thrummed deeper, and today she would pour it all into a song. Before the curtain rose, anxiety gripped her, a heavy fog of self-doubt. Was her voice strong enough? Would anyone even care? Torn between the love she felt for her mother and the fear of revealing too much vulnerability, Mia hesitated. If she sang her heart out, would it expose the fragility of their life? What if they laughed, thinking her song was just a sad little tribute to a struggling family? But then she pictured Lisa, the way her mother's eyes lit up every time she played. Mia couldn't back down. This was for Lisa, no matter what. The bright stage lights pierced her as she stepped forward, transforming her anxiety into raw energy. The audience quieted, their expectant faces blurring into the background as she focused on the song that had been her refuge for weeks. Each note trembled with her unspoken fears and deep love, memories of sleepless nights and whispered encouragements flowing through the lyrics. With every word, she felt the release of pent-up emotions, her heart spilling onto the stage in an outpouring that surprised even her. Just as the last note lingered in the air, the world shifted. Whispers rippled through the crowd, hushed connected gasps. The revelation of her father, a man she barely remembered, was standing in the audience. A millionaire, a stranger cloaked in the shadows of abandonment. Confusion clawed at her gut. Why now? Thoughts spiraled, she felt dizzy. Did she unknowingly summon this man with her song? The audience, so invested in her performance, was now buzzing with curiosity, eyes darting from her to the older man with an air of authority. Mia's mind raced, turbulence setting in. Was it even fair for him to be here? The man who chose wealth over family was suddenly thrust into their lives, a life Lisa had fought so hard to build alone. Mia envisioned her mother's face etched with the pain of that history. Would Lisa want to welcome him? Anguish clashed with longing as Mia grappled with the longing for a connection she never had, conflicting emotions warping her view of family. This could change everything. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Mia's heart pounded. What were the implications of his presence? She felt her world tilting, torn between the comforting embrace of her mother's unwavering support and the bewildering idea of a father who could offer so much more. What did it mean to love someone who had left them behind? As she sank into her memories, a tapestry woven with resilience against the backdrop of financial hardship, Mia hit an emotional crossroads. The path unfurled before her like a riddle, filled with potential yet lined with uncertainty. She clutched the old photo of her mother, its familiar edges grounding her as she pondered what family meant. In the face of wealth and choice, would she dare explore the possibilities in her heart, or would she cling fiercely to her loyalty to the love that had carved her existence thus far? The echoes of her song lingered in the air, leaving her breathless, trapped in a whirlwind of emotional chaos, her choices stretching before her like an open road, leaving all that was known behind. Mia stood frozen on stage, the applause fading into a haze as the reality of her father's presence settled in. She could feel the unmistakable gaze of the audience, eager to witness the emotional aftermath of her performance. It felt like being on display. The spotlight, once a warm embrace, now felt like a harsh interrogation. She took a deep breath, her fingers gripping the neck of her guitar, grounding herself in the familiar texture, an anchor amidst the storm swirling inside. Questions spiraled in her mind. What was he thinking? What did he want? The years of missing him melted into a singular moment that felt both electrifying and suffocating. She wanted to scream and run, but also to confront the man who had haunted her family's history like an unsolved mystery. Yet there stood her mother in the front row, her face a canvas of complex emotions: confusion, hurt, perhaps even anger. Mia's heart ached for her. No child should ever have to navigate such a tangle of affection and resentment. Backstage, adrenaline coursed through her veins, spurring her feet toward the open door where chaos beckoned. She needed to sort through the jumble of emotions. As she passed the organizers frantically organizing the next acts, Mia's mind was sharp, each piece clicking into place. The realization began to dawn on her: she could use this moment. If confronting her father had belonged to a lost chapter of her childhood, then perhaps this was an opportunity for closure, for empowerment. "Hey, Mia." One of her friends caught up to her, a bright smile contrasting sharply with her inner turmoil. "You were amazing out there. Everyone loved it." But Mia's smile didn't reach her eyes. She felt trapped in dual realities, one where the applause was echoing in celebration and another where she needed to approach an unfamiliar reality. "I need to go talk to him," Mia declared unexpectedly. Her friend's face fell, surprise choking her words. "What? Are you sure?" "It's now or never," Mia replied, no longer just a girl who struggled to find her voice. This was the first step to reclaiming the narrative of her life. Marching back towards the audience, her determination grew with each step. The whispers of onlookers faded into white noise, her focus narrowing to the man who claimed her blood. As she reached him, everything else disappeared: no audience, no performance, just the underlying tension hanging between them. "Mia," he said, surprise painting his face. "I didn't expect. Why are you here?" She interrupted, every word tinged with years of pent-up hurt. "After all this time, why choose now?" He hesitated, the weight of unspoken apologies filling the air like stale smoke. There was a flicker of something in his eyes: remorse? Regret? She couldn't tell. It irritated her how easily he approached her, but even more, it ignited a desire within her to uncover what he had been hiding all these years. "I wanted to see you, to know how you've been," he rationalized. But Mia was not searching for justification, she sought answers, and those, it seemed, lay in a past she was just beginning to comprehend. "Is that enough?" She pressed, the very core of her spirit challenging the notion of easy forgiveness. "You think your presence is a gift? You left us." His expression shifted from surprise to something resembling understanding. It was then that she realized they were standing at the cusp of a deeper conversation, one about their truths. But what truths lay beneath his carefully crafted facade? "Can we talk somewhere more private?" he asked, his voice strained, revealing his uncertainty amidst confidence. Mia's heart raced again, not only with anxiety but with hope. This interaction was fraught with peril, yet it could also reshape who she was becoming. As she nodded silently, the weight of the moment wrapped around them, both fragile and potent, tethering her to a future that remained as uncertain as the man before her. What revelations might unfold from the past? One thing was clear: the journey ahead would demand every ounce of courage Mia could muster. The echoes of her song were only the beginning. Mia felt a sudden rush of purpose as she followed her father away from the spotlight. The backstage area buzzed with an undercurrent of excitement, and the lively conversations of performers and crew members echoed like faint ghosts around her. But her world was narrowing, her focus honing in on the conversation she was about to have. As they stepped into a secluded corner, away from the prying eyes and clattering noise, the air thickened with anticipation. The space between them stretched. She could sense his hesitation, like wisps of smoke that would dissipate if given the chance. This was not a casual meeting, this was a confrontation brewing in the storm of her heart. "Why now?" she questioned, her voice steadier than her pulse. "Are you here because you care, or did you just want to see how your abandoned daughter turned out?" His flinching at her words was palpable. I care, Mia. I really do. It's complicated. Mia interrupted. She had learned to be fierce in the face of confusion. Complicated doesn't cut it. You walked out on us. You didn't care enough to be around for my life. His eyes flashed with something anger or guilt, it was hard to tell. She felt a flicker of satisfaction at breaking through his facade, but it was quickly overshadowed by an emotional weight threatening to consume her. Every accusation she leveled at him reminded her of the years lost, the moments missed, the father-daughter bond never fully formed. Did you ever think about us? I never stopped thinking about you, he replied, voice softer now, fatigue mingling with his initial fervor. I had my reasons, but I'm ready to talk about it. Footsteps thudded in the distance, but they felt muted, muffled by the tension crackling between them. Mia's mind was racing. This was her opportunity. It felt monumental, not only for their relationship but for her own identity. Every fiber of her being urged her to push for clarity, to demand a resolution to the uncertainty woven into the fabric of her life. Then tell me, she pressed. Tell me everything. Don't hold back. He hesitated, then inhaled deeply. I made choices I thought were best at the time. Choices that led to me being away from you both. Choices that destroyed our family, she corrected, crossing her arms, her resolve hardening. My mom had to pick up the pieces alone. You robbed me of so much. Mia, please, he pleaded. I can't change the past, but I want to make amends. Can we start fresh? The irony of his words stung. Fresh starts were never as simple as they sounded. You think I'm just going to forgive you because you've decided to reappear? Tell me why I shouldn't walk away right now. She watched him wrestle with his own emotions, the regret and the remorse blurred in his expressions. Because I want to understand you. I want to be a part of your life, even if it's late. Can we take it slowly? Mia mulled over his words. The idea of forging a relationship with the man who had left felt both terrifying and liberating. The deeper she fell into contemplation, the more she realized it was not just about him. It was about her progress, her ability to reclaim her narrative, and her right to choose what kind of future she wanted. I'm not ready for that, she eventually said, the certainty in her voice surprising herself. But maybe one day I will be. Just don't expect it to happen overnight. Leaving her father standing there, a mixture of sadness and acknowledgement filling the space between them felt like the hardest yet most liberating decision she had ever made. As she stepped away, retreating toward the vibrant chaos of the backstage, a familiar tension unfurled within her. There was still so much to unpack, and she realized her journey wasn't just about reconciling with him. It was about understanding herself, about what she was capable of achieving without his shadow looming over her. Making her way past her friends, who greeted her with cheers and smiles, Mia felt a surge of clarity. This wasn't the end but rather a crucial turning point. She had reclaimed part of her story just by confronting him, and there was power in that realization, but still, shadows lingered, and uncharted territories awaited. She could feel it deep in her bones, a longing to explore the depths of her own emotions and perhaps uncover more hidden truths about her past and who she might become, what lay ahead on that unrecognized path. Could she reshape her own identity further, or would the shadows of yesterday continue to cast their influence? The answers were out there, waiting on the horizon of her journey. As she navigated through the thrumming energy of the backstage, Mia's heart hammered in tandem with the lively rhythm of laughter and applause. Each cheer echoed a stark contrast to the emotional turbulence festering inside her. She forced herself to smile at her friends, but the encounter with her father loomed large in her thoughts, intertwining uneasily with her newfound aspirations. What did reclaiming her story really mean? Mia pondered this as she made her way to the dressing room, the soft lighting and warm atmosphere providing a feeling of safety she desperately craved. With every step, she felt the layers of her identity shedding, as if she was leaving behind the girl haunted by abandonment. Sinking into a chair, she opened her notebook and began to scribble down her thoughts. The lyrics she had written for her mother's tribute song filled the page, but next to them, she jotted down fragmented feelings of anger, disappointment, and, surprisingly, the flickers of hope that had begun to emerge. Was she ready to embrace all of it? Her friend Amber slipped into the room, her enthusiastic presence a balm against Mia's strife. "Hey, that was some serious intensity back there. You okay?" Mia met Amber's gaze, the vibrant energy in her friend contrasting sharply with the heaviness weighing down on her chest. "Yeah, I'm fine," she replied, though the tremor in her voice betrayed the truth. "Just thinking about my song. Your mom's going to love it. You pour your heart into every line." Amber plopped down next to her, rummaging through her bag. "But what's this about your dad? Are you really going to let him back in?" Mia felt a hot flash of irritation. "That's what I'm trying to figure out." She closed her notebook with a loud snap, the decision seeming to echo through the small space. "In music, you learn to dissect what resonates and what doesn't," Amber continued, unfazed. "Exploring that could be the first step. Maybe you have feelings locked away that could shape the song." Mia's mind whirred at the thought. Explore what? The anger? The disappointment? What if he only adds more confusion? Or what if he helps you understand yourself even better? Amber countered. "You have a gift for articulating emotions. Why not start with your own?" Struck by Amber's suggestion, Mia hesitated. What if songwriting became more than a tribute to her mother? What if it transformed into a way to process everything, the revelations about her father, her feelings about abandonment, the newfound autonomy she was striving to seize? "Maybe I can write 2 songs, she said slowly, a spark of inspiration igniting within her. "One for my mom, and another for my unresolved feelings." The thought felt liberating, pushing her boundaries. It was a step toward taking control of the narrative. Exactly. It doesn't need to be perfect. Just right. Let it flow, Amber encouraged, her eyes bright. "You've got this, Mia." As Mia began to brainstorm lyrics exploring her emotions, it felt like the foundations of a fortress forming, no longer vulnerable, but rather fortified by self-awareness and creativity. The chaos in her mind started to shift into something tangible, something she could mold into art. The stirring words flowed freely on the page, resonating with her heart's beating rhythm. With every line, she felt more empowered, as if reclaiming parts of her identity long overshadowed by doubt and unresolved conflict. This was more than just a song, it was the key to unlocking her potential. Suddenly, her phone buzzed, a notification igniting immediate tension. Mia's breath hitched as she recognized the name. It was him, the father she had only just spoken in fragmented terms. What could he possibly want now? She hesitated, the gravity of her decision weighing on her. Should she engage further or maintain her distance, safe within her developing self-identity? Staring at the screen, she felt the ground beneath her shift. This was a moment demanding courage, a moment when she could either retreat or leap forward to confront her fears. What would she choose? The unanswered call hung in the air, a new possibility beckoning her to dive deeper into the complexities of who she was becoming. Would her next step bring clarity or chaos? Mia blinked at her phone, the screen illuminating her thoughts like a lighthouse in turbulent waters. The decision before her felt monumental, like stepping onto a precipice with no safety net. She could let go of resentment and open a door, or she could slam it shut, closing off a part of her identity that was clamoring for acknowledgement. Her fingers hovered over the screen, then fell back. She needed to stand on firm ground. She had just begun to stitch her fragmented emotions together through music. Now, the prospect of heaping her father into the mix felt reckless. But wouldn't he confronting him at least once offer clarity? She recalled Amber's words about dissecting what resonated. Drawing a deep breath, Mia searched her feelings for clarity. Righteous anger pulsed through her veins at the thought of her father's betrayal, but alongside that, a yearning crept in. A yearning for answers. Was he as lost as she was? Was it too late to find common ground? Allowing herself to sit with the discomfort, she felt her emotional facade beginning to crack. Resilience sparked within her, igniting a determination she hadn't anticipated. If she was going to reclaim her narrative, it required confronting the person who had altered its trajectory. Dismissing his presence would only reaffirm the power he held over her even from a distance. With resolve, she reached for her notebook. The tribute song for her mother was already taking shape, but a new inspiration surged within her. Perhaps it was time for a catharsis in both songs, one sung to celebrate love, the other to confront the tumult of hurt. Words spilled onto the pages as she crafted verses that articulated both her sorrow and the hope that maybe, just maybe, their connection wasn't irretrievably broken. Each line was an emotional release, a vehicle for healing rather than hurt. Will you ever see the girl that you left behind? Will you hear the songs she sings in the night? She hesitated over the next line, allowing herself to confront the foreboding uncertainty. Should I really reach out? Gritting her teeth, Mia allowed enough faith to guide her. This was more than about her father, it was about her reclamation of self. The singing didn't have to be perfection, but an expression of her truth. She was crafting a narrative of empowerment, one where she could firmly stand on her own 2 feet, not defined by abandonment, but by courage. With fresh lyrics filling the page, the buzz from her phone vibrated anew, snapping her back to reality. The context of the notification flickered across her mind like wildfire, enveloping her in urgency. He had texted. "Can we talk?" Mia paused, her heart racing. Talk? What could he possibly say that would bridge the chasm of years? Could she find the words to express her pain, or would she be swayed back into silence? The thought of engaging was daunting yet invigorating. This was the moment Amber had sensed, the moment that could catalyze real change. Each second felt heavy with potential, a moment ripe for decisions that would shape Mia's narrative. Torn between rational hesitation and the pulsating urge to reclaim her voice, Mia found herself at a crossroads. To reply or not to reply? It echoed thunderously in her mind, weighed against the songs that were becoming her solace. What reality lay beyond this hesitation? As the minutes ticked by, she realized she no longer wanted to be the passive girl, the girl shackled by her past. She longed to step into the role of someone who had risen, a person willing to confront whatever chaos lay ahead. With her heart thundering, she reached for her phone. Her fingers danced over the screen, bringing her closer to the truth she both feared and craved. The moment of commitment loomed, like a silent promise waiting to erupt into sound. Would she take the plunge into the uncertainty of healing before the world's eyes? Or would she remain tethered to her past? Mia drew in a deep breath. This moment demanded action. Would her bold choice lead to enlightenment, or plunge her deeper into confusion? As she hit send, her heart surged with confidence and fear in equal measure. The journey ahead was uncertain, but it would be hers to define. What repercussions awaited in the responses to come? Mia stared at her phone, momentarily stunned by the simplicity of her reply. The text had left her fingertips so quickly, a spontaneous act against years of hesitation. Yes, let us talk. It was a promise to herself, an endorsement of courage over her old patterns of fear and avoidance. She edged back onto the couch, the weight of her decision heavy yet exhilarating. That eye and the stillness that followed, Mia felt an unfamiliar quiet settle in her mind. This was uncharted territory, no longer a girl defined by her father's absence, but a woman poised to reclaim her voice and challenge the narrative he'd imposed on her life. Yet with the thrill came apprehension. What would his response be? Would he even acknowledge the years of hurt? Replaying their history, she recalled the absence at birthdays, the empty chair at graduations, his neglect woven into the fabric of her childhood. But this time, armed with music and a resolve to face her pain, she felt different. The songs were her shield and her sword, each lyric a message embedded with both sorrow and strength. As she awaited his reply, a familiar song echoed in her mind, a melody she'd often turned to during moments of loneliness. It had always been about longing, but now it felt like a theme of empowerment. She retrieved her notebook and began to write again, letting the waves of inspiration wash over her. Every stroke of the pen was a testament to her growth. What if everything's not as it seems? What if the darkness hides the light of dreams? The words spoke to her transformation, a shift from victimhood to a voice of agency, one that not only celebrated her mother's love but also challenged the pain her father had inflicted. Just then, her phone vibrated, slicing through her focused reverie. A text. Short and simple, "Can we meet tomorrow?" Her heart raced, fear mingling with anticipation. Meeting him in person would strip away the digital distance, bringing to life the years of unresolved emotions lingering in the air. It was a bold leap, and yet it felt necessary. The prospect of facing him, of articulating her truth face to face, sent shivers down her spine. Mia glanced in the mirror, taking stock of her reflection. Who was she now? This was no longer the girl who had cringed at the thought of confrontation. She was evolving, embracing layers of emotional complexity that made her whole. This self-acceptance was fueled by her creativity, allowing every unconfessed hurt to seep into her music. The craft felt like a refuge, fortifying her against the emotional storm ahead. As she confirmed the meeting time, she took a moment to envision the conversation, rehearsing the words she wished to strip from her heart. Anger, hurt, yearning, she needed to express it all, to create a dialogue that might mend a fragmented relationship. But even more importantly, it was time for her to advocate for herself. That night, craving composure before the inevitable encounter, she strummed her guitar, the strings sending vibrations through the room that echoed her heartbeat. Layer after layer, she wove together the tribulations of her past and the aspirations for her future. Each note entwined with hope, transforming her vulnerability into a powerful anthem of self-assertion. A sense of empowerment thrummed within her, leaving Mia caught between excitement and the lingering tremors of fear. Confronting him face to face might spark a reckoning, a resolution she never knew she needed. But would it end in reconciliation or deeper hurt? With her song as a companion and her new resolve as a guide, Mia braced herself for tomorrow, anticipation flickering in her gut like a live wire. Would their meeting yield the clarity she'd been seeking? The door was ajar, and now it awaited her hesitant footstep to cross the threshold into a world of possibility. Anxiety played a tight rhythm in Mia's chest as morning dawned. She awoke long before the sun crested the horizon, her body a taut string in a symphony of nervous energy. The responsibilities of the day loomed over her like a vast stage, her emotions swirling in anticipation of the confrontation she had scripted 1,000 times in her mind. Mia slipped into her most comfortable clothes, nothing too formal, yet not at all careless. She needed to feel grounded but capable, ready to face whatever awaited her across the table. Her fingers twitched towards her guitar, but she resisted. Today wasn't about music, it was about words, spoken truths swelling in her throat, vibrant and poignant. As she prepared for the meeting, brushing her hair and applying a light coat of makeup, she caught her reflection in the mirror again. This moment was unlike any other, no longer merely a girl waiting for her father's approval, but a woman reclaiming her narrative. She was ready to confront the shadows of her past and take ownership of her story. Each step towards the cafe felt monumental. Mia's mind darted from thought to thought, scenarios unfolding at lightning speed. What if he showed up late? What if he was dismissive? Or worse, what if he didn't show at all? The possibilities felt endless, yet she also questioned what it would mean to break free of the chains of her history. Arriving early, she chose a secluded corner table, her eyes scanning the entrance and bracing for a moment of recognition she had long desired but also dreaded. The warmth of sunlight danced through the window, casting golden spots on the battered wooden table, echoing the contradictions of her heart, hope intertwined with fear. As the minutes crept by, the tension thickened, wrapping around her thoughts like a suffocating blanket. She pulled out her notebook, lines of lyrics ready to fuel her courage and serve as a reminder of her progress. She flipped to another page, scrawling yet another stanza, desperate to keep the waves of outpouring creativity flowing. Art had always been her refuge, a steadfast companion during troubled times, but this felt different. She needed raw authenticity before the conversation. Suddenly, the cafe door swung open. Time slowed as her eyes landed on him. There he was, her father, an unfamiliar figure who represented both her ancestral history and an unyielding future. He wore uncertainty like a cloak, shifting his weight as he searched the crowd before zeroing in on Mia. Their eyes met briefly. A moment fraught with possibility and daunting vulnerability. He approached, awkwardly extending his hand. "Mia," he said, as if merely assessing her existence rather than expressing connection. Mia took his handshake, her palm clammy against his. Clearing her throat, she sat up straighter, determined to anchor herself in the moment. "Thank you for coming." The words were simple, yet they held the weight of years of absence. The conversation began hesitantly, an exploration of the unspoken. Each tick of the clock brought forth both revelations and frustration, with her father fumbling between half-hearted apologies and evident discomfort. Mia had anticipated this disjointed beginning, but buried beneath the clumsy exchanges were flickers of humanity she had yearned to uncover. She sensed unresolved emotions swirling between them, an electrifying current that charged the air. Her mind flashed to her notes to the lyrics reflecting not only her pain but her evolving self-worth. As they delved deeper, sharing laughs uneasily over their shared favorite foods and meaningful anecdotes, Mia's courage shifted. The conversation tilted, nudging closer to the crucial narratives shaping their relationship: regret, forgiveness, understanding. But then, as her father began to open up about his own struggles, Mia felt a swell of conviction. This was her moment to not just listen but also assert her experience. Everything she had harbored for years begged to be expressed. "I need you to understand," she began, voice steady like a metronome guiding a delicate piece. "Your absence shaped me, and I want to tell you how I've coped." The rawness of her words hung heavy in the air, both an offering and a challenge. Would he grasp the intricate threads of hurt that twined with her burgeoning strength? Just as she gathered the courage, poised to dive into the depths of her story, the door creaked open once again, and in walked someone unexpected, someone who could turn her world upside down. The moment hung pregnant with tension as Mia's heart skipped. Who was this newcomer, and how would they impact what she thought would be a pivotal discussion with her father? The figure stepped further inside, flipping back the hood of a jacket that had obscured their features. It took Mia a moment to fully recognize the familiar face, her breath caught in her throat as disbelief washed over her. Amelia, her childhood friend, was standing there, wide-eyed, as if she too had stepped into this unfolding drama. "Mia?" Amelia's voice quivered, a mixture of surprise and concern. Her gaze darted nervously between Mia and the man she had just begun to navigate the complexities of reconnecting with. It felt like gravity had shifted, pulling Mia back into memories of laughter and shared dreams, the innocent world of their youth now overlaid with the weight of years lost. "Mia, Amelia began, hesitating as if to recalibrate her intentions amid the palpable tension. Mia could feel her father's scrutiny, the awkwardness stretching like an elastic band ready to snap. This was not how she envisioned this moment. She had prepared to bare her soul, to peel back layers of hurt and longing crafted over years of silence, and now a sudden wave of her past had crashed into the present. "What are you doing here?" Mia managed, her heart racing with confusion. She hadn't seen Amelia since she moved away during their teenage years. I was hoping to find you." "I've been looking for you," Amelia responded quietly, her determination shining through the uncertainty. "I just didn't expect to find you here, with him." Her gaze flickered pointedly at Mia's father, who remained passive yet alert, his own confusion mingling with unease. Mia felt a swell of ferocity rising within her. This was her moment, or so she had convinced herself. "Amelia, but the words faltered, entangled in the urgent need to reclaim her voice. "Maybe we should talk outside?" Amelia suggested, her tone laced with sincerity but also insistence. "No," said Mia firmly, a newfound resolve unfurling in her chest. "I need to stay here. This is important." You could have heard a pin drop in the cafe as the exchange played out in charged silence. Every eye in the vicinity seemed to zero in on them, a community of strangers sharing an unspoken understanding of the emotional battlefield unfolding before them. "Mia," her father interjected cautiously, "this is important to me," she cut him off, instinctively aware of the double edge of this emotional sword. The encounter with Amelia could sever her budding connection with her father or ignite a new path toward understanding. I need to show up for myself, for once. Amelia's expression softened, the hurt and concern weaving through their history giving her strength. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I thought you deserved to know a few things. About your past, she implored, her voice earnest, begging for Mia to understand. Mia felt the fabric of her reality fraying at the seams. What past? Her heartbeat drummed loud against her chest. What do you mean? The moment had arrived to unearth hidden truths, but the shaking of her familial narrative felt improbable. Her father shifted in his chair, rigid, his expression a complex tapestry of emotions: regret, guilt, and something more, fear. Mia was torn between the familiarity of childhood and the raw complexities of adulthood. With the stakes rising, she stood at the precipice of discovery, her breath a fragile thread pulling her through. It's about your mother, Amelia revealed, the floodgates of her voice opening, and what really happened when she left. Mia's world tilted, the concept of her mother a harried abstraction of memories and misconceptions colliding with the impending revelation. This might shatter all she thought she knew. She could feel the tenacity within her hardening, crystallizing into something that could not be ignored. The time had come to face not only her father but the specters of the past that haunted her. The layers were about to peel back one by one, but there was no telling what exactly lay beneath. Mia took a deep breath, aware now that this moment was a choice point. Would she step away from the pain, or dive deeper into the roots of her truth? With every ounce of her being, she resolved to find out. The weight of Amelia's words hung in the air, almost suffocating in their intensity. Mia felt the world narrow to a singular focus, her heart still racing as everything she thought she knew began to splinter. What do you mean? She pressed, the urgency propelling her forward, demanding clarity in the chaos. Amelia took a steadying breath, her eyes locked onto Mia's, reflecting an unflinching resolve. I know the story your father's been telling you about your mother leaving. But Mia, there's so much more. Your mother, she didn't just abandon you. There were circumstances that led to her leaving, things that were never spoken of, things that he hid from you. As Mia processed these revelations, her father shifted again, the discomfort radiating from him palpable. It was a diversion of focus, redirecting attention away from the uncomfortable truths and onto herself. But why now? Why tell me this here? She shot back at Amelia, her voice thick with a mixture of frustration and hope. Because, Amelia replied, quietly yet firmly, you deserve to know who you are, where you come from. You've been living in his shadow for too long, Mia. This is your story too. Mia's heart swelled and sank simultaneously. The shackles of her father's narrative were unbinding as the doors of understanding flung open. What could possibly justify what was taken from me? The words escaped before she could contain them, raw and pained. Mia, we all have parts of ourselves that we wish were hidden, but facing them is how we find strength, Amelia replied, unwavering. I think the truth might be more complicated than you realize. Your mother was entangled in something that went beyond what any of us understood back then. Mia's breathing became labored as she struggled to reconcile Amelia's words with the solidified images of her childhood, the endless vacant spaces where affection should have thrived in absence that had often been cloaked in shame and silence. Why do you care so much? Mia blurted out. You left. You chose to cut ties with everyone. I didn't leave willingly, Amelia practically shouted back, the hurt spilling forth as her own faded memories resurfaced. I was forced away. I've lived with the repercussions of your mother's choices. I want you to have the truth. Amelia's vulnerability hit Mia like a slap, a reminder that pain was not exclusive to her father. The depth of emotion swirling in the cafe felt like a cross-section of frailty and bravery, the very fabric of their shared history pouring into the present. I fought to find you, Amelia continued, determination lacing her words. You shouldn't have to bear the burden of unanswered questions alone. Mia could see the sincerity in her eyes, the echo of their childhood intertwined with the fire of shared experiences. The fractures in their friendship aimed toward a reinvention, one that refused to retreat into the comfort of what had been. It was a call for both of them to confront their own pasts, with her father's imploring gaze weighing heavily on her. Mia wrestled with conflicting emotions. She began to comprehend that the moment she had been yearning for the opportunity to understand her origins was now presented to her, but presented on a precarious tightrope. "I need to know," she demanded, looking past her father to Amelia, her inquiry burning with desperation as her resolve grew. Amelia nodded, an understanding exchange pulsing between them. "Then let me tell you everything." In that instant, Mia realized the truth was potent not just in its revelations but in its potential for liberation. The past threatened to redefine their future, but it was a chance she feared and craved all at once. As Amelia began to unravel the layers of history, Mia's heart raced with anticipation. With each word, a new door seemed to open, each revelation promising both clarity and chaos. The air buzzed with the transformative power of discovery, forcing Mia to confront not only the truth of her mother's departure but the foundation of the identity she had constructed. What if those very revelations would shift her reality once again? As the first fragment of truth slipped through the veil, an ember of uncertainty ignited within her. Could she still stay anchored in the life she'd carefully built, or was she destined to be swept away by the tides of who she truly was? The past was no longer just a memory, it was about to redefine her future, and Mia prepared herself for the journey ahead, where every answer sifted like shifting sand, and every question deepened her resolve. What lay on the other side of revelation? The stage of her life was set for a performance unlike any she had ever imagined. Mia sat across from her father, the faded edges of their estrangement looming large. The revelations that had erupted from Amelia's presence had sharpened her focus. This conversation was no longer just a means to understand her father, it had evolved into a crucible of her own identity. "I need to know what happened to my mother," she demanded. The tension in the air felt electric as Amelia exchanged glances with her, nodding in solidarity. "Tell me the truth, the whole truth. Don't hold back." Her father inhaled deeply, the weight of years slipping through his fingers. "Your mother, she made choices, Mia, hard choices. I didn't leave, I was pushed away. We were entangled in a world of complications you can't begin to imagine." His voice trembled, hinting at the pain buried beneath his composure. "Complicated doesn't cut it." Mia shot back, rage and sadness swirling together. "You left us without a word. Her struggles are not excuses for your actions." But she could see flickers of regret in his eyes, a vulnerability that mirrored her own. "I wish I had fought harder," he admitted, quiet conviction taking his place amongst the frantic turmoil. "She chose to protect you from the things I had brought into our lives. The very things I was running from: debt, danger, a life that could have destroyed us all." Mia felt her grip on the present tightening. There was a clearer picture forming around the story of her family, revealing layers of dependency and bravery that hadn't existed in isolation. With every detail unearthed, the gaping wounds of abandonment began to mend. Amelia's firm presence bolstered Mia's resolve. "This is your chance," she whispered softly. "Reconnect. He may have walked away once, but you can make your own choices now. Don't let this be a continuation of silence." Watching her father close his eyes momentarily, frustration replaced with contemplation, Mia felt a shift within her. "So what do you want now?" The question hung heavily, laden with accusation but also possibility. "I want to know you," he replied, sincerity lacing his words. "I want to understand the woman you've become, the person I barely know. If you'll allow me to try and make amends." Mia wrestled with the notion, her heart heavy and full. Could she really open herself to the potential of new beginnings from the ashes of a broken connection? "I've spent too long learning to stand on my own 2 feet, but she hesitated, her pulse racing. "I don't want to close the door. There's too much at stake." "Then let us take it slow," he suggested, a glimmer of hope brightening his gaze. "Every conversation we have brings us closer to understanding the past, and maybe even healing." Mia's contemplation shifted to the songs she had been writing, lyrics flowing freely, each word a catharsis. "I never realized how much I needed to articulate what had been left unsaid. Music has always been my refuge," she admitted. But it's time to face my reality, not just through my music but in this relationship. A sense of purpose invigorated her. I can forgive you, but I cannot forget. And I will need time to process all this, what it means to embrace the parts of my life you once abandoned. Her father nodded, deferring to her clarity with a silent understanding. I'm willing to wait. Each moment we spend connecting will be worth every second. As Mia felt the stirrings of resolve blossom within her, Amelia reached out and squeezed her hand tightly. What had begun as a battle for her narrative had developed into a reclamation of herself. She stood on the precipice of change, emboldened by the truths that had surfaced. I want to write a song about this, she declared suddenly, an idea taking root. About this exchange and what it means for me moving forward, acknowledgement, pain, forgiveness, all of it. Amelia's gaze sparkled with recognition. That is exactly how you will reclaim your story. You need to transform this experience into music, your art. It can become your voice and your power. Mia smiled, feeling the weight lift as excitement ignited within her. The challenge ahead felt daunting yet invigorating. Then I'll need your support, both of you. I want to weave the different threads of my life into something vibrant and true. Count me in, Amelia replied, newfound vigor in her stance. I'll always be here for you. We'll help each other navigate this. And as the cafe's din faded into the background, the loose collage of Mia's life began to coalesce into a vivid mural, the pain of abandonment intertwined with the tender strokes of love and support emanating from both her father and childhood friend. Tomorrow, I'll write, Mia proclaimed, embracing the emotions swirling within her, each laden word promising empowerment. The songs would capture the past while paving the way for her future, solidifying the ground beneath her feet. This journey was now her own to articulate. Mia looked at her father one last time, willing to open a door she had once kept shut, with the intention of perhaps one day embracing the man he could be now, not just the father who had left. And in that moment of clarity, she recognized that resilience was not just in surviving the shadows of her history but in nurturing the growth of all that was to come. The stage long awaited her, and soon, she would step into the spotlight as a woman beholden only to her own narrative. Now was the time to sculpt her story, and she was ready to achieve it all. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share. Only true fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.